developments in the financial and capital market as relates to the economy. Today, Thursday, September 17, 2020, we're looking at the Agro and Commodities Exchange space, which is a very critical part of the capital market, playing roles and creating value through the whole agro value chain. We'll be discussing round repositioning the Nigerian Commodities Exchange ecosystem for competitiveness. And with me to have this conversation is Prince Ajayi, co-founder, Cooperative Farmers International Limited. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Auto. It's a great privilege having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Before we begin, to our viewers, we just want to inform you that ProShare, Nigeria's leading financial information hub, has brought again another interesting report. This is capturing the Nigerian Stock Exchange 10 years after a takeover, looking at the good, the bad, and undecided. It's a comprehensive report that gives an overview of a decade of activities in the market and the leadership that has driven it. Let's just take you briefly before we begin this segment on some insights into that report. Section 1 of this report takes a brief history of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and that even comes at a critical time as the Nigerian Stock Exchange was set up in 1960, shares some commonalities with Nigeria, which will be clocking 60 years this year. It shows how business activities were carried out and what influenced investment decisions. It also looks at the creation of the Central Securities Clearance Systems PLC and what led to its creation, the growth in market operators over the years, improvements in market confidence through logic rather than passion, of what is termed as animal spirits. The section also looked at changes made within different management eras, increased growth in the number of IPOs, LBIs as preferred methods of capital raised by most companies. In section 2 of this report, it looks at the issue of market unpredictability and investors' reaction to market dynamics, the impact of unexpected shocks on the value of the capital markets. The second question, does the Nigerian Stock Exchange reflect the state of the domestic economy and foreign and domestic investor sentiment on the market? It also looked at the long road to achieving a market capitalization of a $1 trillion market. The section also looks at the transition from the Alternative Security Exchange Market SM to Good Board and its related matters. It also brings to surface opportunities presented by COVID-19, depressed economy, and also answers the question if the political risk is a matter of concern for the market and market players. Section 3, the last section in this report, talks about the need for demutualization. That is the big thing happening now. The niggling problems associated with demutualization, the sustained fear of the power that will be controlled by the board of directors, and potential conflict of interest of the demutualized exchange. The section also talks about actions that could lead to success of or failure of a demutualized exchange and its prospective value chain drivers. The address also addresses how artificial intelligence, also known as AI, could be used for identification of arbitrage opportunities and the disruption of asymmetric loopholes. The section speaks also to the proposed CISI bill, which is in National Assembly, and its implications for the adoption of a professional monopoly. It disagrees with its proposed disciplinary process, which undermines the Investment and Securities Act of 2007 and the establishment of an Investments and Securities Tribunal, IST. The section argues that the CISI bill, as drafted, is mortally and morally flawed. So having said these 3 sections, I guess you would want to now read it to get more insights, and you can do that by logging on to www.proshare.com and go to a search button, and you can see our reports. And there it is, NSC, 10 years after, the good, the bad, and undecided. That is just for what has come out so far from the table of ProShare, Nigeria's leading financial information hub. I sent one already to Prince Ajayi, and nice to get your feedback. That it's well done. So Prince Ajayi, nice to have you, and just have to take that initial take on the reports which you've also gone through. Would you like to just give a glossary, like 30 seconds on what you've seen in this report?
Thank you so much, Otto. It's very, very important to note that the impact of Nigeria Stock Exchange and Nigeria Stock Exchange is very, very important in any economy. If anybody wants to look into what we call economy, you must look at the seat of the capitalist. And the seat of capitalists in Nigeria is what we call the Nigeria Stock Exchange. 10 years ago, that the bad and every other thing, and at least they were able to stand under the leadership of Oscar. And he has been a very young man and a man that's open to innovations and ideas to try with to make sure that our economy is being repositioned and corporate governance is brought into many organizations that have been encroached and died. But he makes sure that look, those who have already listed, and even they even started what we call the primary market now in order to bring up what we call the small company to an extent that in future they'll be able to capture
the growth board,
the growth board. That's where my company, Cooperative Farmers International, that's where we are able to partner with them in order to bring up all these small companies in the area of agri-processing, agriculture, and everything, so that it's not going to be the only press school and Ukomo that will be listed in that place, in which that we are really working hard to make sure that those things happen in Nigeria. And we want to see generational business in agribusiness in Nigeria. That we can have nothing less than 120 years agribusiness, 80 years agribusiness like South Africa and the rest of the world. I think that even in Latin America, I think that this is one of the best that is happening under this leadership, with the young mind that are working there, that in every department, all hands are on deck. And I surely believe that with this, in the next another 10 years, Nigeria economy will be able to stabilize. Because what many make sure that we have continuity in business. Continuity in business, a company that can last 100 years is one of our passion in corporate farmer. It's one of our passion in the sustainability. Not when you die at the end of the day, nothing happened to the organization. But with the corporate governance and all the rules and regulation in Nigeria Stock Exchange, Nigeria has a better future, and we are looking towards to another 10 years, even 20 years ahead. To make
thank you very much, Prince Ajayi, and also thank you for your feedback from the report, for what you've read. Your feedback is well received, and as to our viewers, I mean, Prince Ajayi has gone through the summary and is also reading to the report, so you can imagine how impactful this report is, and definitely you also want to get access to read it and get insights too. It's comprehensive from the table of brochure. So let's begin, Prince Ajayi. How would you describe the current intervention programs in the Nigerian agro sector? Is it yielding the much needed impact in achieving food security? And the reason I'm asking you this is that recently the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, in its 15-page statement, said, fine, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been doing interventions, but it needs to be more coordinated to track the impact of those interventions, particularly in the agro sector, which has had a lot from Central Bank of Nigeria. We need to track it to see how it's impacting issues of food security and the whole agro value chain. So what's your assessment as a practitioner? You're really involved in it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And when we look at all this intervention, like what we look at is the area of continuity, and for CBN also to make sure that they done what we call due diligence in order to make sure that all these programs, they are beautiful on paper, but the implementation is very, very key. And well, let us look at where we are coming from. And we normally let people know that the foundation that additional are laid in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is what we are building on right now. The collaboration of Federal Ministry of Agriculture with CBN, with all this intervention, to make sure that at least we have agro system, agribusiness industry that can last and develop our economy. Because as a matter of fact, agriculture is the only industry that can, employ, the skilled and unskilled labor. When you are looking at the job opportunities and everything, it's only agriculture that can, in the ecosystem, that can really produce what we really need and make sure that we have a better economy that can develop our GDP. And let me just make mention of all this intervention. We look at the Agric Food Job Initiative of federal government that started
recently.
Recently, in Katsina. It's amazing. But what we need is that we need more of this intervention to trickle down to this small scale holder, in order to
smallholder farmers need
that can
these interventions deeply.
They need this intervention deeply. Let us, and a coordination and report, because one of the challenges of a federal government, state government, and local government is ability to report their achievement. A lot is being, putting into all these things and every other thing, but there's no report. I was talking to a guy some of these days. I said, look, do you know a lot of individuals in Nigeria that enjoy You Win program, and up to today they are still growing their economy, they are growing their businesses and every other thing, but nobody to even report all these successes in business. So CBN, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, both states and local government need a more coordinated action in order to make sure that we have something to report all this intervention. We look at Agric credit of CBN. It has been there since the early 70s. But we surely believe that a lot of state government are taking advantage of this in order to make sure that they get some loans and every other, and stand for them as a bank guarantee, as a state guarantee for all these loans to make it happen. These are the interventions that's happening. And the federal government also have what we call a long-term, to 2030 intervention fund of nothing less than $1.2 billion, and it's also basically for all these small-scale, smallholder farmers and the processor, which is very, very important. But ability to coordinate this program, ability to make sure that what we are doing in our nation today is the only survivor economy can only be derived from agriculture. And that's why we are being in advocacy. That's why we are managing big farms in Nigeria, coordinating people to make sure that CBN, banks, and every other thing, make sure that they're born into it. Another one is almost 21 million farmers intervention in Northeast, this war and rampaging environment and the rest that started in Adamawa. When you look at this, it's one of the things that, look, I do tell people that, look, let us be holistic in our approach. Look at Sambisa Forest. Sambisa Forest is just there as a forest. And a lot of invaders, intruders are coming to our nations and every other thing. And we are spending a lot of money in order to chase away all these terrorists and every other thing. But what are we doing? What are we putting back into the forest? Are we turning it to agricultural environment, large-scale agricultural environment? Because if you drive away what we call all these terrorists out of that and leave the place lie fallow, they will return back to that place and make sure that I bet, young people like us, we are coming up with an idea that we forward to federal government through the legislation to make sure that all these things work together for the development of our nation. We don't have any other nation than Nigeria. All this intervention, like you said in your report, coordination, reporting, very, very key, in order to motivate other investors to see that, look, agriculture is the in thing, agro-processing is the in thing, and it's the only one that can last other generation. Thank you so much.
I really like the fact that you talked about the need for proper reporting, and also the need, but beyond the reporting, the need for due diligence, because sometimes you just go, I've talked to several agro experts, even in the commodities exchange space, and they keep saying that you can't just throw money or get involved, provide support when you're not done due diligence. So those two things are very critical. Due diligence before disbursement of the loans and funds, and periodic reports to see the impacts of these interventions. Those are things that are very key. Now, how would you describe the evolution of the commodities exchange in the country? We've been part of the advocacy groups working around the clock to see that we have a strong, robust commodities exchange, and you're also working with the Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria. Let me just take you up on the recent rules rolled out by SEC and Collateral Management Company. How do you see that again playing out in improving the commodities exchange ecosystem in the country?
Thank you so much. When you look at the commodity exchange, their aims is to is also established to open the economy through the investment and socio-economy through the solid minerals, agriculture, also a platform for investors to lessen the risk of agriculture and commodity. Commodity exchange also does not really base on agriculture alone. When we talk about solid minerals, it's part of it. When you look at Europe and America, even most of this Latin America, these are one of the biggest, economy that are even driving their stock exchange, driving the commodity exchange to make sure that their economy really boom and every other thing. So when we look at all this, we see that let us look at it where it even started. Because people like us grown up in a cocoa plantation farm, and around 1979 stroke 1985, we discovered. Yes, and we grown up to know that a cocoa board in Ibadan, where we have a skyscraper, the first skyscraper in West Africa.
The Mapo Hall. That's the Mapo Hall.
And so
Cocoa House, yeah, okay.
Cocoa House. This is a board. This is a commodity board where the exchange of your product, your commodities come together in order to formulate the government policy, to make the government policy concerning the production of this cocoa from the raw materials, from the production down to the processor, and from the processor to the final user and every other thing. Look at this. This was why we can see that Obafemi Awolowo was able to build other industries alongside cocoa from that cocoa. So when we now look at because of 1985, when the military regime comes and just destabilize everything and make sure that all these cocoa boards, are not board in the north and every other thing just disbanded, and then every other thing. That was why we entered all these kind of challenges and problems. But now people are coming up. We surely believe that the area of pricing, when you look at advantage of this, commodity exchange reduce the element of price differentials. It's very, very important, because a lot of people are, they are producing, Guinea corn, they are producing millet in Kebbi. We have guys and the farmers in the Kebbi that are producing rice and everything. But you look at the price. The price of importing of price down to Nigeria. But when we have a strong commodity exchange that are well regulated by SEC and every other thing, be able, you as a farmer, you'll be able to plan. When you have a plan that, look, if I cultivated nothing less than 10 hectares of land today, this is the amount of money that I'm going to get and every other thing. As a matter of fact, the loan will be easier because you already have a market in the commodity exchange that can say, look, Mr. Salau in Kebbi State has what we call 25 bags of rice. So you can use that one. You can even get more of that money before you even sell, because you already have what we call a commodity exchange that can stand for you. Look at the commodity, look at the quality control, and make sure that we have something very, very impressive. So with what governments are doing, with what sectors are doing in the area of making sure that they unbundle all these things to make sure that we revive our commodity exchange back is very, very important. And I surely believe that we are one of the advocates that we are advocating all these things. But the advantage is very, very enormous. It improved the aggregation of a commodity, from the rural area, which is very, very important. A lot of wastages we are experiencing right now, if we have what we call a well-coordinated Agric Commodity Exchange, it will not continue to have all these problems. But thank God for almost like 10 years to this time, to this present 2020, we are seeing a lot of changes in terms of effects, Nigerian Commodity Exchange, and the newly unbundled, what we call Lagos Commodity Exchange is coming. It's going to, it's going to change so many things, because a lot of things is going on in that place, and we are still going to discuss on it very soon.
Definitely. So I also want to drill down to this collateral management company, which in terms of activity will manage commodities as collateral and also provide enabling arrangements for collateral commodity financing, and also issuance of credible warehouse receipts and other necessary arrangements for agricultural commodity financing. How will this help to, is this going to really help to boost more investments in commodity financing and exchanges in the country?
I'm telling you, it's going to help. It's going to really help, because this is where agri finance come into being. You know, when we talk about issue of receipt and every other thing, and I surely believe that you know, this collateral investment is very, very important, because that's what we call the coordinated one that can really help in order to make sure that everybody that play in this environment, this ecosystem, have a value for their money, have a value for their investment, and being regulated by SEC. I surely believe that is one of the good ways to go. There is no any other way to go to make sure that we regulate you know, this industry, and make sure that all these things work accordingly in order to develop our economy.
And what is the engagement so far with the likes of Nigerian Economic Summit Group? There's this warehousing bill that is still, we expect that should be signed in, that should enable people to set up more effective warehouses to improve storage and address the issue of post-harvest losses and improve the Agric Commodities Exchange space.
Fantastic. That's, you know, when you look at the report of Economic Summit, all this improvement is very, very important. Like I've told you before, that look, when you look at this economic summit recommendations, is one of the things that we need to, you know, we don't even need to take more time to make sure that the implementation starts, because when you have an assurance that look, you have your commodities being warehoused, and you have logistic, you have all this, you know, like we call it that due diligence that I was talking about before, is improved. You know, all the recommendations are welcome, you know, initiatives that we need to use quickly in order to make sure that we develop this economy. We don't need to waste time on it, and to make sure, because when you look at other commodity exchange, they are even looking at federal government and the SEC, you know, Security and Exchange Commission, to empower them to do what we call crowdfunding, in order to fund, you know, crowdfunding. You know, is one of the biggest things, because you need to be regulated, because a lot of quacks, a lot of scam, a lot of Ponzi schemes are outside there right now, making sure that a majority of investors are losing their money. But that's why we need, you know, we don't need to spend more time in making sure that we pass all these bills, to make sure that we allow crowdfunding to go into agribusiness, more especially commodity exchange, that's already given the power to do such business. It's very, very important that we make sure that this recommendation by Economic Summit, you know, Nigerian Economic Summit, be implemented. And because of this COVID-19 right now, we need to engage in a very serious, you know, approach to our economy. And the only way is agriculture. And agriculture is the only thing that can do survive. I will see what is happening in the oil sector right now. It's not something where we can depend on our economy and our life and for born children to look into.
Well, definitely. So it shows that these new regulations around collateral management company will really help in commodity financing, and I guess Cooperative Farmers International also continue to engage to see how you can lobby the National Assembly to quickly work on those bills. You can really come on board. But let's look at the update on the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. I've had conversations with the Association of Security Dealing Houses of Nigeria, who are also working in that regard, and you're also involved. We're expecting between third quarter or fourth quarter. When is it coming on board, the LCFE?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, like I said before, thank you for, you know, I will really use this opportunity also to thank the MD of the Lagos Commodities Exchange, Dr. Akeredolu. Is one of the man, you know, that has a passion in order to develop Nigerian economy. With what they are doing there, because we have been with them for the past four years now, down to where we are. And the launching will be soon announced. It's not something that's going to be long anymore. It's going to be launched and launched big. But one of the area that corporate farmers partners with them is ability to make sure that we gather all our aggregators. Aggregators in the area of agri commodities is very, very important. because moving farm produce from farm gates down to the market and everything, to warehousing, logistics, and every other thing. These are the things that we are working with them for over 2 years in order to create what we call cooperatives. You know, when you see the way cooperative works in the early 60s, 70s, down to the early 80s in Nigeria, you will be able to know that, look, the achievement of Obafemi Awolowo economic reform in Western Nigeria then was based on these aggregators, cooperatives, ability to know each other and make sure that in any community that you find yourself, whether in palm oil, whether in a pool of a cooperative of aggregators that we have trained in order to go to interline, in order to go to farm gate and make sure that we know what we call farmers' problem, farmers' challenge, farmers' health. These are the things that Lagos, Commodities and Futures Exchange, and in partnership with corporate farmers, this is what we have, we have put things together with them in order, because if you don't have a good aggregators, your commodity exchange cannot really work, because you need people in the rural area to bring all these things into form. So with that, you'll be able to formulate what we call a good policy, a smooth running, because let me tell you, with what Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange are doing right now, is using technology to even drive it in the area of blockchain technology, from farm to to the plate. And with this, a lot of FMG that can work with like people of Nestle, Nigeria, flour mills, Honeywells, and every other thing, to make sure that what we produce from our farms are the thing that we are bringing on board. And with our corporation, we surely believe that digital exchange, where you can just see that in your office in Lagos Island, in London, and every other thing, and see what is happening in our in the Lagos Commodities Exchange is one of the biggest things, and we are looking towards for the launching of this operation. They already started working, but we want to launch it in order to let us know that the nerves and the city of economic power of Nigeria, which is Nigeria, in Lagos, that is where it's going to be launched. And I'm telling you, it's one of the biggest things that's going to happen to Nigeria. They are not just based all their produce or their services to agriculture alone, solid minerals, oil, and every other thing. These are the things that they are doing. And we have also helped them also in order to get all these local miners and every other thing, so that we can aggregate them into real sector economy, and let investors to see that, look, gold is in Elisha, gold is in Sanfara. So you can come together and structure this thing through the regulation of federal government, and I'll be able to make sure that a lot of things is happening. Nigeria should be expecting. Investors also be always look out for the launch of this program. You can also go there, where in Lagos Island, you see a lot of things that they are doing, and with the structure that they are putting together, they just look like a Tokyo Stock Exchange. And it's one of the greatest things that I'm telling you, is one of the, Agric Commodities is doing with all his team, they are doing wonderfully well. And I surely believe that Nigeria will aim into a new era of a commodity exchange.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Prince Ade. Just in 1 minute, can you tell us, going forward, what are the 2 critical things that must be done to ensure that our commodity exchange in Nigeria are competitive globally?
One of the things that we should do right now is ability to maintain. We should avoid policy somersault. We should avoid it. And we should put what we call a speed to what we are doing in order to all the regulations that they are putting into all these things. We can do it within 6 months instead of trying to postpone so many things. In money investment already put. Look at what effects are doing. And these guys are the majority of these guys are doing wonderfully well. We still need more of this commodity to thrive. This is the only way we can help our rural farmer. This is the only way we can coordinate the agro sector in order to yield what we call economic boom and develop our GDP and create jobs. Because the job very, very important, and create jobs. Because when people like a blockchain technology make sure that it identifies each and every sector that to business, this everyone can participate and develop our economy and make our economy better than we met it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajayi. With effective policy continuity
and with effective regulations and legislations, we can make our commodities exchanges competitive globally. Thank you very much, Mr. Ajayi, co-founder, Cooperative Farmers International Limited, for the time discussing around commodities exchanges and how they can be competitive globally. Hope to have you subsequent editions to discuss further on the progress. By then, hopefully, the launch of the Lagos Commodities will be on. Yeah. That will be all for this edition of the Market Review. You can join our website, www.proshng.com, to watch our videos with our news reports and analysis. Note that tomorrow, 10 a.m. marks the end for the week, and it promises to be interesting. Join us same time tomorrow for this conversation on the financial markets and the economy. To come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.